Let's talk about this crazy, crazy area. Anybody walking into the toothpaste aisle in any pharmacy or any store, it's often like a mass of blue and, lots of crazy, confusing things. Um, but I'm going to start with this. Did you know that that size tube of toothpaste, there is enough sodium fluoride to be fatal to two children under 5? So I'll give you a quick story. In 1988, Procter & Gamble launched a product called Crest Sparkle toothpaste. It was bubblegum flavored, fluorescent blue, and had sparkles in it. A lot of you probably remember it. And fluoride fatalities in children went up 280%. Horrifying. The internet wasn't around. So you couldn't really, you can't sequester information, although there's been a strong effort to do that and to censor the intelligent exchange of scientific information, especially related to this pandemic. But back then, they can kind of sweep it under the rug. So it took 10 years before the FDA put this warning on toothpaste with sodium fluoride, because keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. If more than, a lot of times it says a pea-sized amount is used for brushing, if more than used for brushing, that little bit you put in your toothpaste is accidentally swallowed, they say get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. That warning took 10 years, and it's because toothpaste is toxic. And we're going to talk about the truth, the real truth about health. Let's talk about the real truth about fluoride. There are over 50, and I think it might even be up to 60 studies on drinking fluoridated water lowers IQ in children. Learning disabilities, behavioral disorders, rapid aging, decreases in bone density and strength. I want to talk about that a moment, about osteoporosis. And, 30 years after fluoride was introduced, about 25 to 30 years, the orthopedic groups decided to do hip fracture studies. And they wanted to see, because of the introduction of fluoride into the systemic water supply, that fluoride makes teeth harder, stronger. And they found that they wanted to see if hip fracture rates were going down. They found an exponential increase. These are studies that were documented in the Journal of the American Medical Association, New England Journal of Medicine. Hip fracture rates went up exponentially with fluoridation, with the age of fluoridation. Dentists and dental hygienists and dental students, they get it rammed into them, brainwashed into them. Fluoride, you need fluoride, you need fluoride, you need fluoride. First of all, the stuff we put in the water isn't even fluoride. It's hydrofluorosilicic acid, a toxic chemical. They have to wear hazmat suits to dump it into the New York water supply or any municipal water supply. Hazmat suits. And hydrofluorosilicic acid, by the way, is an industrial waste product from aluminum manufacturing, phosphate fertilizer industry, and the enrichment of uranium. So we have three big special interest groups there, starting with the U.S. military. And then we also have Monsanto, and who's the other one? Alcoa. Okay. And it's a very convenient way. New York pays, I think, $9 million to put this garbage into the water supply. So what does fluoride do that we thought it was such a good thing? Because there were studies in the late 40s and 50s, Grand Rapids, Michigan, that the introduction of fluorine, because fluoride's a made-up word, fluorine is the most highly reactive, non-radioactive element, on the planet. And it quickly, when you introduce fluorine, which we call fluoride, it quickly changes the mineral of teeth and bones, which is hydroxyapatite. And the fluorine pushes out the hydroxy, and we end up with fluorapatite. So what we did in dental studies is, oh, wow, this causes enamel to remineralize. The problem is the mineral is not hydroxyapatite. The mineral is fluorapatite. and it's 30% weaker. 30% weaker and less elasticity than hydroxyapatite fluorapatite. So everything we thought good about fluoride, I'm still trying to find something good about it, because there are fluoridated communities in the United States that have higher rates of decay than non-fluoridated, like New Hampshire per capita. And we have an increased risk of cancer that's been documented, cognitive decline, autoimmune disease. Then there was the idea that we would try and kill plaque, right? We have to kill plaque, the germ theory, from the 1970s. We put things in to try and kill. And so there's a chemical called triclosan that was the original ingredient in Colgate Total, which did a good job of killing plaque. The problem is that it was linked to cancer and growth malformations in animals. And it was approved by the FDA in 1997. The FDA used, this is another company-backed evidence to approve it. And then you had advertisements like this, that Colgate eliminates 15 times more bacteria to improve the health of your mouth. So it's making that desert that I spoke about on the oral microbiome, kill everything, scorched earth policy. And yes, that's my Bitmoji on the left. So these approaches are not only ineffectual, but harmful. And I spent 20 years, I introduced the first prebiotic oral care formulation. This is Revitin, whatever you want to call it. I think in the intro to this talk, they called it Revitin, and my French son-in-law calls it Revitin. But Revitin, it's a kind of a play on words with revitalize, vitamin. It's loaded with the patents we got were CoQ10 and vitamin C, which are amazing for the gums for reducing inflammation, vitamin D3 and K2, manicolone 7, vitamin E. All of this was, and then we have microminerals, but it's natural. You can eat this. This is basically a dietary supplement in a toothpaste. And it took me 10 years to get it to work like a toothpaste. And so we did some clinicals, and we found that in 7 days of use, we reduced gingival inflammation more than Colgate was reporting in their studies from the Philippines in 4 months or 12 weeks. 3 months, I'm sorry, in 3 months. So in 7 days, we did more than 3 months. So we were looking at another study that we did in Europe, in Italy, to stay away from the FDA and being called I guess an investigative new drug, because basically everything out of here came out of a health food store. It's basically a dietary supplement, and we even toyed with using the brush and swallow. That just sounded gross. So I actually instruct patients to rub this on their gums if they have an area of inflammation. And so in 14 days, we're talking about 2 weeks, everyone, there was a 42% reduction, 46% reduction in unhealthy plaque, and gum stop bleeding 72.5%. We now have a 50-patient double-blind clinical study, but I'm pointing this out. The remarkable thing is of these results is that it's a very simple approach, and it's called make peace with your microbes. It's called respecting the science of the oral microbiome. That bacteria are not invaders. As a matter of fact, a lot of scientists like myself believe we're made of bacteria, that our mitochondria of our cells may have been bacterial in origin at one time. And so what we want to do is understand the unique relationship of man and microbe that goes back to when man was made. These were periodontal chart. This guy ran up to me at a meeting I was doing in Atlanta, Georgia. And on the left, he came to me and said, my dentist wants to do gum surgery on me. And I have all this bleeding, I have all these pockets, 4 millimeters, 5 millimeters, da, da, da. And he said, can I get some of your product? I gave him 3 tubes. It's a tube a month. And in September, I was speaking out west. It was in Las Vegas. And he came running after me and said, guess what? Guess what? On the left was his chart when he saw me in June. And in September or October, when I was giving this talk at the beginning of October, this was his exam with his dentist in June, in September. And he had, out of all those black dots, which were bleeding gums, he had 3 left. And he said, even those went away since then. And it's the first time I ever did a HIPAA release on a paper napkin at a Marriott hotel. But I actually scanned it because I want to change 2 things I'd like to accomplish before I leave the planet. Is I want to bring dentistry back into the fold of medicine, and I want to change how people take care of their teeth.